Good evening, everyone. I am Rosanna. Good day, everyone. I am Rosanna Angelica Padillo, and today we will discuss a very important issue as aspiring to very we will discuss a very important issue as aspiring English teacher, the pedagogical issues in teaching grammar. First off, we need to understand the title on today's discussion. Do you know what pedagogy? Do you know what is pedagogy? And why do we keep on meeting this word in our subject? Well, pedagogy is synonymous to education. And in dictionary, pedagogy means the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. And now let's go on to our main topic. Once again, it is about the pedagogical issues in teaching grammar. Teaching grammar is important and essential in language, as with it lies the student's competency. Teachers' perception about teaching grammar and how it should be taught influence their teaching. It's like holding the future of our students in our hands. Whether or not we do our best, the life of our students depends on our capacity. A significant of foreign language instruction. A significant aspect of foreign language instruction is teaching grammar, in which to show the way language works in sentences and paragraphs. Hence, how grammatical structure functions in sentences can be seen from how grammar is taught in context. That's according to Mart in 2013. The way of how to use language The way of how to use language correctly is the result of accurate teaching of grammar. And this and in this statement, we see how important our roles as teachers. And then this state and in this statement, we see how important our rules and in this statement, we see how important our roles as English teachers are. According to Richard Renandia in 2002, it can be seen that language acquisition without grammar is confusing. This is common to Filipino. We innately know how to speak and communicate in English, but we often fail to acknowledge its grammar. People agree that grammar is very important for learners because without a better knowledge of grammar, learner la- learners' language development will be hampered. So, aspiring teachers, the best thing we need to do in order to experience improvement in teaching grammar is first acknowledging the issues, acknowledging the issues and finding the solution. Here are the pedagogical issues in teaching grammar which I have gathered through thorough research. First is not knowing the student's needs. Not knowing their needs is a crucial issue teachers face. Not knowing their not knowing their not knowing their needs not knowing their needs not knowing their needs is a crucial issue teachers often face. That is why we learned from one of our subject that it's very important a to conduct a diagnostic. That is why we learned from one of our subjects that it's important to conduct a diagnostic assessment before anything so we would know their needs. Sadly, in schools and even in every grade level, different teachers assumes that students have learned the basics from the past years, neglecting what's essential, and that is their needs. And in some instances as well, teachers find the second thing hard to accomplish. That is correcting students' mistake. Teachers find it hard to repeatedly correct the student's mistake because for them, repeatedly correcting their needs is an added burden for them to so for them for Because for them, repeatedly correcting the students because for them, repeatedly correcting the students is an added burden for because for them because for them repeatedly correcting the student is an added burden, so they often overlook those mistakes which eventually have become a norm for the students, and so they grew used to what's incorrect. And in connection, the next one issue is students' low proficiency level. So often this is a result when teachers just overlook what is incorrect or what's wrong, and then the students will go to another year, another level, bringing what they thought is right, and so it is the result of low proficiency. Teacher in higher years struggles in adjusting the lesson for the students, specifically when their proficiency is too low for their levels. It's very hard when you are teaching grade 10 students, but when you check on them, when you have your diagnostic assessment and you see that their proficiency is very low, and it's often because the teachers neglect to see the problem and to find solution in the first place. The next issue that I believe have a huge negative impact in learning grammar is that students' negative attitude towards grammar hinders them to grow. It seems like the discrimination and negative recipient for students with English grammar has been their biggest hurdle, and even for the teachers to teach them the correct grammar, construction. And that is why, even sadly in college level, we often hear students who doesn't even know how to construct a very easy sentence. So that's because first we fail to recognize their needs and correct it, and we just settle on their low proficiency. Next one, the fifth one is the student's high expectation. Some students have high Some students expect high improvement with less effort. We all know practice and efforts makes one thing perfect, right? However, when students expect too much, teachers hope too much without proper reciprocation. How will if we expect for high improvement and then we do less effort, how will our expectation be met? Say for example, one student wants to properly pronounce or construct a right grammar, but listening but following what's taught. But even when teachers made an extra effort, teaches over and over again the right way to construct a sentence, when the teach and then the students doesn't even take another effort, and when the students doesn't even and then the students doesn't reciprocate those efforts, how will be the how will the expectation be met? The sixth one the sixth one is teachers incompetency. Some teachers some teachers these days aren't confident with their skills, and so the issue starts. Not that I am discriminating, but as English teacher, we need to hone our skills and take extra miles in improving. We must appear confident as we teach. We must practice, we must study, and do our best to improve. In doing so, it will produce a positive impression to the students. Hence, they will also take extra effort in learning not only the grammar, but also English, but also the language itself. Lastly, insufficient facilities. Among all the issues I have mentioned, this one might have been the most important thing one must take attention. If an institution doesn't give effort in improving their facilities and their quality, it hinders the development overall, not only in pedagogical issues in teaching grammar, but as a whole. So, for example, we want to achieve the high competency level in English communication or in English language, but we lack in giving extra budget for seminars and symposiums or even other way to hone the skills. Giving special rooms intended for this language development or an English club is another example or another way for a school to expect or to receive an improvement of their quality. As teachers, although it may be burdensome, but I believe it's our role to take extra mile if we want to impart essential and lifelong learning for our students. Those are the 7 issues in teaching grammar, but I believe there are more problems and issues that are yet to come. And as we open our eyes, and as we open our eyes to these problems, may we also do our best to get the best result. Before we end, I'd like to give an emphasis to this issue which states it was not that teachers did not see the need for grammar. It was increasingly due to the new reality that young teachers starting out in the late 20th century felt unable and unqualified to teach it, having themselves come through school with little or no grammar training in this curriculum. And this is a sad reality. Often, teachers themselves start the pedagogical issues because the teachers lacks confidence and knowledge because the teacher lacks confidence and knowledge rarely because teachers who lacks confidence and knowledge rarely produce best outcome. And if there is one truth that underlies all teaching, it is that you can teach something effectively if you have not yet mastered it yourself. So this I hope this statement is a reminder for us that one of the main issue of this teaching grammar goes back to us. It reflects to our confidence. It reflects to our mastery in teaching this grammar. And the root of today's problem with teaching grammar is not that many teachers cannot or do not want to teach it, or do not see the use of doing so, but the fact that grammar is something with which they themselves do not feel at it. But the fact that grammar is something with which they themselves do not feel at ease. And when teachers are not confident with English grammar, it is hardly surprising that they will either hesitate to mention it in the classroom, or else if they do so, will pass their own confusions to their students. Grammar is not an option. Grammar is not an option or extra in the teaching of English. It is a vital element of literacy. And when teachers are reluctant and uneasy with teaching, and when teachers are and when te- and when teachers are reluctant and when teachers are reluctant and uneasy with the teaching of grammar, students suffer. Therefore, we need to remember that in order to resolve an ongoing issue, we need to acknowledge the problem. And in instances like this, where teachers also needs to impart solution, May we learn to admit the problem, look for ways to improve, take it as a challenge, and hope for the best outcome. So that is all for my report. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned something from this discussion. God bless you.